Hey guys. There was a time when studios like Ubisoft and Nintendo didn't just make games. They defined entire genres. They understood players. They were the industry. But somewhere along the way, they stopped listening. And now, smaller studios are stepping in and giving players what they've been asking for years. Let's start with Ubisoft, because this one hurts. Back in 2013, Ubisoft released Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. And it wasn't just another Assassin's Creed game. It was the pirate game. Naval combat? Incredible. The exploration? Addictive. Boarding enemy ships? Pure chaos in the best way. Players weren't just completing missions, they were living a pirate fantasy. So naturally, fans thought, imagine a full pirate game built around this. Ubisoft thought the same thing, and after years of development, we got Skull and Bone. And this is where things went wrong, because on paper Skull and Bones should have been amazing. But in reality, it stripped away everything people loved. Boarding ships became a cutscene. Exploration, barely there. Freedom replaced with menus and systems. Instead of being a pirate, you're managing one. It feels less like an adventure and more like you're optimizing a spreadsheet. Here's the real problem. Ubisoft didn't misunderstand pirates, they misunderstood players. People didn't love Black Flag because of efficiency or progression systems. They loved it because it made them feel like a pirate. And Skull and Bones forgot that entirely. Now here's where it gets interesting, because while Ubisoft was busy designing systems, smaller teams started focusing on experience again. Games like Windrose, built by a much smaller team, are resonating more with players. Why? Because they understood something simple. Players don't want complexity for the sake of it. They want immersion, freedom, moments that feel real, even in a fictional world. Big studios optimize, and small studios listen. Now let's talk about Nintendo, because this is a completely different problem, but just as important. Nintendo didn't fall behind because they lost quality. In some way they did, though. They fell behind because they refused to evolve. Take Pokémon Red and Blue. When those games came out, their audience were kids. And that made sense. Simple mechanics, bright worlds, safe themes. But here's the thing. Those kids, they grew up. And yet, decades later, Pokémon still treats its audience like they didn't. Limited mechanics, safe storytelling, and no real risk-taking. It's the same formula, over and over again. Now compare that to what happened when Pocket Pair released Palworld. Suddenly you have guns, base building, survival systems, dark humor, moral choices. You can fight with your creatures, work with them, and even sacrifice them. And whether you love it or hate it, it did something Pokémon hasn't done in years. It evolved with its audience. So, why are these massive companies missing something that smaller studios get right? It comes down to one thing: risk. Big companies protect what already works. Small companies chase what could work. Ubisoft saw Black Flag and thought, how do we systemize this? Players were thinking, how do we get more of this feeling? Nintendo looked at Pokémon and thought, how do we preserve this brand? And players were thinking, what would this look like if it grew up with us? And that gap, that's where smaller studios thrive. This isn't just about Ubisoft or Nintendo. This is about a shift happening across the entire gaming industry. Players aren't loyal to companies anymore. They're loyal to experiences. If big studios keep playing it safe, keep relying on old formulas, keep assuming they know better than their audience, then smaller studios will keep stepping in, and eventually they won't just compete, they'll replace them. Because at the end of the day, players don't want bigger games. They want better ones. And with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.